Hey folks, welcome to another VR video. Today I'm going to summarize a bit of the cool VR and AR that my wife and I got to see at Game Developers Conference 2023 at the Moscone Center. I do want to mention and thank the fine folks at Meta who brought 4 experiences to their booth and also brought the two of us as exhibitors through the Metaquest Ambassador Program. So many thanks to the Oculus Developers Group and the Metaquest team for making this happen. As you can see, they did bring 4 demos, Demio, Iron Man VR, the mixed reality fencing prototype, which we actually got to experience.
Mixed reality fencing is wild.
And Among Us VR. The version of Demio that they brought did include some special hand tracking capabilities that are not yet released, and was also presented in the mixed reality pass-through mode that you can see in a previous video on my channel. As you can see, their booth was pretty large. One of the things I thought was pretty cool was they did show footage of upcoming games on the screens in the front. So as you can see in this picture here, there's some footage from Hello Neighbor or Tiny Build, just the logo for Tiny Build on one screen, and I Expect You to Die 3 on the other. They had a rotating flow of some upcoming titles, including Not for Broadcast, which just came out on Thursday, which I covered yesterday on the channel. Pico also had an extensively large booth. This one actually was pretty cool. They showed off a bit of the prototyping that went behind the Pico 4, as well as the timeline of their products over time. And they were very specific to say these are the markets that the Pico 4 is available in. And the United States is not one of them. Even though it was very highly rumored before GDC that indeed they would announce that the United States would be getting the Pico 4 device. They'd be coming to this market. I'm not certain that Pico products will be able to be sold to consumers in the United States based on some safety concerns and security concerns from the United States government. But their booth, again, very cool. They had all of these little prototyping things on the front, different iterative designs, which I'm always a sucker for. And they also had 4 sections. This one's the fitness section here, and then in the inset is a gaming section. On the other side is a social section, and there's also a movies section of all different things that you can do with a Pico 4 headset. So it was a pretty cool presentation, a good way to show developers the capabilities of the device, and hopefully get them on board to bring more titles to the Pico platform. PlayStation brought an eye tracking demo called Magic Lab. Didn't get the opportunity to try it, and unfortunately in this picture it's just a dark screen. They also brought Horizon VR Call of the Mountain, and one of my personal favorite games, Cosmonious High. And what I love about them choosing to bring Cosmonious High is I feel like it brings all of the best practices for designing a virtual reality game on the PlayStation VR 2, but also on any platform. So very smart choice from the PlayStation group to bring that particular title to highlight. Pymax Studio brought a few of their Pymax Portal devices. As you can see here, this is kind of before they set up and started doing demos, but they were really there to talk to developers about potentially bringing their own applications to the Pymax store, which is now officially live, and there are going to be tons of applications available on that storefront for the Pymax Portal, as well as the Pymax Crystal and other Pymax devices that already exist. A game that all of my friends are talking about, and all I did, unfortunately, was snap a picture as we were walking by, 3DAR's Xscape, which is a 3-person multiplayer, at least right now, location-based experience. They were running it on Quest Pro for this particular demo. This is one that they've run before on Quest 2 at things like the Vienna Film Festival, and they've already teased is coming to the Vive XR Elite in the future. So I'm hoping that there will be like a single-player mode that I can play on the XR Elite in the future, or on one of my other headsets because this looks like a pretty cool title, and I'm bummed that I never went back and tried it. Bonsai Studios brought Gaslers, which is a fantastic game. I played the demo during Steam Next Fest. You can watch that on the channel. Painting VR, another title that I have played on the channel, was also featured in the same booth. I believe this was the Belgian Games booth. What I love about GDC is they have kind of these pavilions set up of different countries or different states in the United States or different provinces in Canada, where you can see highlighted titles or highlighted developer studios and speak with the developers hands-on about how they develop their experiences and whether or not maybe they're looking for people to do environmental design or narrative design or any of the different categories of development. So very cool to get hands-on with these titles, but also to speak to the developers behind them. Galaxy Kart was available. They were showing the PC build, I believe, on Quest. I do want to mention this game just came out on the PSVR 2 as well. Dance Dash is an upcoming title that's going to be sold in a package with track straps from the folks at Rebuff Reality. What they've done is they've actually made it so that you can use your Quest controllers or your Index controllers or your Vive trackers or any other type of tracker as foot controls as you kind of dance along to the motion. It reminded me a lot of Guitar Hero as far as the track that you play on. Or, again, comparisons to Dance Dance Revolution would be appropriate as well. It didn't seem as frenetic as that, though. For right now, they are focused on foot tracking, but they are talking about making this a full body tracking game, even on the Quest, potentially using hand tracking for your arms and then your controllers for feet. This is coming to Kickstarter, I believe, sometime in the near future, so keep an eye out for it. Rogue Ascent was there from Click Games. Fantastic title. I've played this on the channel as well. Love seeing people play with the hand tracking in a roguelike. It's a really fun game, and I was happy to see it at GDC as well. On Point was one I hadn't discovered before. This is one by Actuator Digital, and it felt like a classic shooting gallery game, and that's something that is kind of missing in the VR ecosystem. Just kind of pick up and play target shoot or skeet shoot type things. So early on, in the early VR days, with the Vive Pre, when I started playing titles for the first time, there were like skeet shooting and duck hunt style games, and then it kind of moved into more human shooting games and zombie shooting games. So this was a fun one to look at. I am hoping to be able to play more of this title in the future. It's a pretty cool game. They seem to have a pretty polished, I believe they said this was a pre-alpha demo, so I do want to keep an eye on Point, and hopefully you'll see coverage of this one in the future on the channel. Patch XR brought their Patch World title. This is a game, again, that I have shown off on the channel. I want to correct myself. It's not really a game. It's a music creation world-building game. It's fantastic. It's quite an experience, and one that I definitely encourage people to check out. This was in the Swiss Games Pavilion, amongst a bunch of other really cool-looking titles. Protube was also there in the French Pavilion, which was really cool to see all of their different adapters for the different controllers for the Provolver controllers. Tilt 5 was probably one of the stars of the show. At their booth, they were showing off Takenoko, which is a Japanese board game that they've adapted specifically for the Tilt 5 AR platform. And they were also showing off one of my favorite mixed reality programs, Figment XR. So two great things to highlight this platform, and they finally convinced me, after demoing this multiple times over the years. I've ordered a Tilt 5 unit, and it's actually shipped already, so it may actually be here tomorrow. I'm not sure when I'm going to find the time to start making content with it, but I'm excited to actually have one in hand and to play with holograms in my living room. Resolution Games brought a new adaptation of Spatial Ops that doesn't take up as much space. So it's geared toward and designed for potentially using in your living room as a single player and then playing against people in a combat style game where there's a portal in front of you and that other player is coming at you in their own living room or other environment. It was a pretty cool experience. Again, they didn't have at a second player playing against you. You're kind of playing against bots, from what I understand. But it's cool to see the mechanics that they put into this and the way that they've adapted it into a smaller footprint. Another game that I've seen recently do a similar scale down was a game called Wreck, which I'm excited for, which is also a mixed reality title. So that one was originally designed for a location-based experience and kind of a larger scale, and even potentially even outdoors. And they've scaled it down to living rooms as well. Resolution Games also brought the ever popular Demio to their own booth. It was available to play on the Quest platform, the PSVR 2, and on PC. So it was cool to have all of those different platforms showcased in their booth, playing, again, a fantastic title in Demio. Haptics, where they're showing off their Haptic Gloves and their Tac Suit Haptic Vests. They had a brief demo where, again, you were using your hands and, of course, feeling the impact of things on the vest. Company that I had not heard of before this event, Pni Company, brought something called the Valeg, which was a way to basically use your feet to navigate around. You could turn using your feet, you could move forward and backward using your feet. It kind of reminded me of the 3D rudder from back in the day, but again, it's on kind of a stool, so it actually was moving you like a motion simulator. They also brought, I think, their own game called Dawn. I think it was Dawn Attack the Aliens or Defend from the Aliens or something like that. But it was a curious thing, and I'm not sure outside of potentially in an arcade experience location you'd see these. I don't think it's something that's practical for someone's living room or even their basement. And I'm also not sure, based on the way that the foot controls worked, it seemed to use a lot of precision. So I don't think it's something you could use as an adaptive controller for people that are disabled, for example, which is something I'd like to see. 3D Rudder absolutely has modes that you can use for adaptive control for people that might be disabled, that might not have full use or full functions of their extremities. So that's something that, again, I don't think Valeg really showed off, but keep an eye on Pni Company. Maybe this is something that you're interested in. Maybe this is something that you'd like to see in action for yourself. Next, I got to have a very cool demo from Titan Haptics. This is their Drake haptic motor, and I got to try it out, just kind of pinching it between my fingers and feeling the haptic vibrations of music, in-game experience from a shooter, in-game experience from a more relaxed fishing game, and a very cool demo with motors inside a controller where you're driving a car around and you could feel the different sensations of different locations in a Unity scene. I think there's a lot of potential in haptic design, and I think that this particular motor showed how powerful an impact you can make with just such a small device, as well as showed how refined the experience can be. Those vibrations can feel different for a low-end rumble versus a high-end, maybe it's a trumpet playing or something of that nature. And I was able to feel each of those individual instruments' experiences and each of the footsteps versus gunfire in the shooter game, and the tension of a fish pulling on the line versus casting the rod out on the fishing demo. So a very cool experience. They are looking right now and also working with a lot of partners to bring these motors into devices in the near future. one of the things that I thought was really cool is this is something that's already kind of pre-built. Those two white tabs on the side of the motor are actually stickers that you can peel off, and you can just stick it on your device, and already you've got the haptic motor wired up and ready to go. So very cool stuff. I'm excited to see, like I said, future technology that actually brings these to market, because I think they're probably some of the best haptic motors I've ever tried. Unity and Unreal both kind of had secret VR demos, if you will. Tucked within the Unity booth was Breachers. I did not get photos, but within the Unreal Engine booth was a demo for Crossfire Sierra Squad, which is also coming to PSVR 2. Pixality brought their game The Patcher, and they brought it in two different modes. So there was a time frame that you could play in a multiplayer raid against a huge boss, or a time frame that you could come and play a single player mode of the game as well. I've played the demo. I have not actually featured the demo on the channel, so I may do that in the near future. But this is one that's pretty cool. The boss battle looked pretty intense, and I think, you know, having a giant boss with a raid is something I did not expect from this game when I played the demo. So I'm excited to see how this game develops in the near future. Undead Citadel was featured in the center hall and another one of the country pavilions. Viture brought their AR glasses for gamers. Now, these are similar in a lot of ways to the Nreal Air. I have the Nreal Light glasses, which have 6-off capabilities because they have slam detection and tracking cameras, as well as an RGB camera in the center so that you can kind of see the world outside as well. The Viture has no cameras, which is similar to the Nreal Air device, which is their 3-DoF tracked AR headset. And what I found unique about the Viture was they also sell a neck band that kind of fits around your neck that has a full Android compute unit and battery power inside it. It was a pretty cool experience. I played a PlayStation 5 game on it, Marvel's Spider-Man, for just a few minutes. And it was all streamed over the Android compute unit using PlayStation 5 remote play. Now, pricing seemed to vary, but they actually had different combinations where you could purchase just the glasses with the compute unit, the glasses with what doubled as an adapter for the Nintendo Switch, as well as a power, almost like a battery bank, and other accessories as well. So they had a full suite of different ways that you could purchase this device. Again, very similar to devices I already own, but I thought their pricing was pretty fair for what they were offering. Something I couldn't capture in a good picture, unfortunately, is the Spatial Labs display being marketed by Acer in their Predator gaming line. It's in a lot of ways similar to the technology that I've experienced with Leia's LumaPad. And Leia also has a new tablet coming out called the LumaPad 2. Acer's technology is different. They totally described it to me. It's not really using the same type of 3D effect at all, but it felt similar to me because it is offering glasses-free 3D. They have 3 different profiles, so you can play pretty much all of your titles in some form of 3D or 2D using this monitor. It's also available in a Acer laptop at the current time. Not current gen specs, though. It's a 12th gen Intel CPU with a 30 series GPU. So it's about a year outdated based on what we're seeing coming to market right now. I don't know if they'll refresh the Spatial Labs edition of the laptop. But it was an interesting technology. Right now, the monitor's real 3D profile, I think they called it True 3D, is only supporting around 80 games. The person I was talking to said that they will be supporting probably 4 or 5 additional games per month, and that they've got hundreds in the pipeline to add support for. But again, I think it's currently a little bit limited, and it's fairly expensive technology. but I think the future for glasses-free 3D is definitely there. Um, I use my LumaPad very frequently. It has the ability to adapt and through AI convert 2D experiences to 3D. So I think obviously Acer is using different technology, but they have the capability to do very similar with their product. And I think more and more of these types of products are going to continue to come out. And it's not like 3D glasses. I can't actually see 3D images from 3D glasses, but these displays are pretty amazing. I did get to try on the Nreal Air finally for the first time. I've had the Nreal Lite since before it came out. I bought the dev kit because I was very excited to try that technology. And the Nreal Air is a similar product, but again, slightly more refined form factor. Uh, they look like sunglasses. Pretty cool stuff. They do only have 3 DOF. They do not have 6 degrees of freedom, so you can't move around and have the images move without the image moving with you. They'll be in a fixed position in front of your eyes. But what I thought was cool is I did a demo on a Windows PC where I could actually turn my head and it was 3 DOF tracked. So think about games like Elite Dangerous, cockpit style games where you're maybe in a spaceship or in a racing car, things of that nature. You can actually turn your head and see different portions of the screen that you wouldn't see if it was flat screen in front of you. So very cool stuff that's coming to Windows in the near future. I believe it's already supported on Macintosh, and they're also going to be adding the ability to have multi-monitor, virtual monitors within that application as well. They call it Nebula, which is the same name that they've given to the Android application, but it's not really the same. Like there's no MR space, or I guess they've now changed that to AR space in the Nebula application for Windows or Mac. But the capability to do that kind of tilt your head and see different portions of your spaceship. I was wowed by just a couple of months ago playing with a Steam VR implementation that they put together, playing Mark's Magnificent Marble Maze in the Nreal Lite. Similarly, you could use the Nreal Air for that as well, and there's constantly developers kind of hacking these things to do more. So excited to see the future of this type of glasses style form factor for AR glasses as well as VR devices as well. The other thing that was cool was I finally got to see a presentation from the folks behind DB Creations. They had probably 4 different panels throughout GDC, and I missed every one of them except for this one, which is about one of my favorite games, Table Trenches, and how they built that first for mobile AR on mobile phones, then adapted it to work with the Nreal Lite, and then also adapted it to work with the Nreal Air. So learned a lot from that presentation. Very cool to see them do that presentation and to meet some of the folks behind the Nreal Lite. I've had my device for so long and talked about it so much that I've had some exchanges online with some of the folks behind their social channels and their marketing channels, and meeting them face to face was really cool at GDC. The last place I got to go at GDC was to check out Pixelrip 1978 in demo form on the PlayStation VR 2. It's going to be published by Atari, and it's very cool to be able to actually play Atari-style games in a virtual reality game. I never thought this particular iteration of Pixelrip would be something that would be coming. It was actually teased all the way back in the original Pixel Rift demo for the Oculus DK1 and DK2. If you leaned your head back and forth in the initial menu screen, you'd see level 1, 1978. I think level 2 was 1983. And then the level you could actually play was 1989. And I never thought that after 1989 came out and then 1995 came out, that there'd ever be a 1978. Because what are you going to do for 1978? Well, I can tell you, they're doing something really cool. It is coming out this summer. It's coming to PC VR, PlayStation VR 2, and Quest. So stay tuned because I think this is going to be one of the coolest experiences we're going to get to have this year. Going back, going completely retro and playing 70s and 80s style Atari games, but also going into those game worlds in kind of a more updated virtual environment as well. I had a ton of fun playing this particular demo. I'm really looking forward to the full game.
Quizzing Metaquest creators on Metaquest facts. Name 3 games released in 2022.
Blast On, Pixelrip 1995, Among Us VR.
What year did the Oculus Kickstarter launch?
2013.
Which VR headset was announced at GDC 2019?
The Rift S. So that's pretty much the highlights of my time at GDC 2023, at least from the VR and AR perspective. I had a ton of fun meeting up with people that I haven't seen in years, or some people that I see pretty frequently, as well as meeting new folks at GDC. The connections I made were extremely meaningful, and I had a ton of fun. Once again, thanks to the folks at Oculus developers and Metaquest for bringing me out. I'll be back with more content soon. Until next time, get out there and enjoy some VR for yourself, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.